transferred to Manchester United now.
Football predictions.
If Rangers nil, Ipswich Town 1.
Football predictions.
Hello, it's Peter Guest, and I'm here with The Moose for another episode of the FootballPredictions.net podcast covering English Premier League games for the 21st to the 22nd of December 2024. And you can see all the details for the matches we're about to discuss in this podcast on our website, FootballPredictions.net, alongside fixtures from just about every other football competition under the sun.
Yeah, and on our website, it'll show you where to watch the games on local broadcast channels, plus video streaming services, as well as match odds from local bookmakers. Look in the description of this podcast episode for direct clickable links to all of the matches we are about to discuss. Geolocation and live streaming rules apply. 18 plus, gamble aware.
Kicking off with Aston Villa, who are in 7th. This should be a great clash because they're taking on Man City, who are dropping like a stone, in 5th. It kicks off on Saturday, the 21st of December. It's a lunchtime kickoff, 12:30 UK time. And of course, visit footballpredictions.net to see your local kickoff time, betting odds and broadcast streaming channels. This one's on TNT Sports here in the UK. And wow, what a cracker this should be.
Oh, this will be a really, really good game between two teams that are, Man City, obviously completely out of form. Very, very unusual for Man City to have hit this kind of form with just one win from 11 games across all competitions. But they are up against the Villa team here, who have kind of struggled a bit to balance between Europe and the Premier League. And last time out in the Premier League, they lost 2-1 at Nottingham Forest. But that came on the back of a 3-2 win at Leipzig in the Champions League. So some strong results in Europe, where Villa has been, they've won 4, drawn 1, and only lost 1 in that Champions League group stage. But yeah, in the Premier League, they're down in 7th. They are sitting 3 points from Forest, only 2 points from Man City, which means a win in this game will take them above Manchester City, which I don't think many would have anticipated before the start of the season that Man City would have been in this position. But yeah, we go to Man City last weekend, of course, a very disappointing end to that game against Man United. They were 1-0 up until the very end and ended up losing 2-1. And now that now takes them to 5 defeats in the Premier League. Of the last 7, that's less points than Ipswich. But yeah, Man City, terrible form, and dropping points late on in that Manchester derby. It can't have been great for the morale of the team. And going into that Manchester United game, they came from a 2-0 defeat at Juventus. So yeah, if we look at the last away game in the Premier League, that was a 2-2 draw at Crystal Palace. And it was another game where City was trailing and then got back into it, but they didn't manage to fully turn it around. The only win over the last 11 games was a 3-0 home win against Nottingham Forest. Away from home, Man City, they've not won in the last 4 matches, 3 defeats, 1 draw, and that only away win of the last 6 away was a Wolverhampton. So yeah, it's going to be a tricky test for Man City, this one, especially considering their form. Aston Villa will be well up for this. But what's our prediction?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So a prediction for this one, well, let's start off with a tip, really, because this is a really tough one to call. You just don't know when Man City are going to start bouncing back and find the form. They say that form is temporary and class is permanent. Well, let's see what happens, because we've gone for both teams to score in this one. Odds there of 1.53. I think that's probably the best bet if you're looking for safety. But if you're forcing us to give you a result, we're going to go for the Man City win. We think it is just a matter of time before they come back to their old selves. And, when they do that, they usually keep steamrolling for the whole season. But have they lost too many games to catch up? We'll see. Odds for a Man City win are 2.05 at the moment. Not taking too much away from Villa, but they've not been brilliant themselves lately. But, at Villa Park, they can be. So let's see. The odds for a Villa win, 3.3, and a draw, which could be tempting, 3.75. So our correct score prediction here is going to be Aston Villa 1, Man City 3. And if you do like a bet on a correct score prediction, you can get odds there of 17. That'd be a huge one if you got that. Put a few down on that one. That's 16-1. In our poll, it's split, but most people, 50%, think Manchester City will grab the win. This is on our website. You can vote on the page for this. So get in. We don't interfere with this one. It's just you guys voting. 24% think Villa, and the rest a draw. Could go anyway. Let's see how it pans out. Next, we've got Ipswich Town, who are showing signs of life in 18th, and they take on Newcastle, who are in 12th. This one is on Saturday, 21st of December, 3 p.m. kickoff UK time. And of course, look at footballpredictions.net to find your localized kickoff time, odds, TV channels, and streaming services for Ipswich Town. They got the win last week.
They got another win. Yes, that was their second win of the season. It happened at Wolverhampton in the very last header of the game, because that was a header in the 94th minute by Jack Taylor. It secured a 2-1 win against fellow strugglers, Wolves. It means now Ipswich only got 2 points up to less than 17th and 3 points to Everton in 16th. So they kind of connected with the teams above the relegation zone. But if we look at Ipswich at home, unfortunately, it's been a different story this season compared to the last few seasons when they won double promotion, where they hardly ever would drop points at home. But this season, no wins at home so far. They've recorded 4 draws and 4 defeats. The most recent home game was a real sucker punch. That was at home to Bournemouth, and they were leading 1-0 till the 87th minute. And ended up losing that game 2-1. We did predict a Bournemouth win in that game. And yeah, prior to that, Ipswich also had narrow defeats to Crystal Palace and to Forest, losing both of them 1-0. But Ipswich have had the ability to pull up some decent results over the last 6 games, because they had that 1-1 draw with United and another 2-1 win at Tottenham Hotspur. So if you look at Ipswich over the last 6 games, they actually have 2 wins, 1 draw, and 3 defeats. And has to be said, they are in games, narrow defeats, only lost by a margin of 1 in over the last 4 defeats recorded in the last 8 games. So yeah, no doubt that Ipswich are in games. They've won a few, but against Newcastle has picked up over the last couple, basically over the last week, because they had that 4-0 win against Leicester last weekend in the Premier League. We did predict a big win for Newcastle in that one and a clean sheet. We said 3-0. Newcastle ended up winning 4-0. That came off the back of 4 matches without a win for Newcastle, and they've had kind of started to really drop down to mid-table. And yeah, that win just pulled them up a little bit, and it took them into that EFL Cup quarterfinal against Brentford. Another game where we predicted Newcastle to win and both teams to score, and Newcastle ended up winning 3-1 in that game. They're now through to the semis of the EFL Cup and might be eyeing a trophy there. It's a good tournament for them to potentially go on and win. But yeah, in the Premier League, they do need to pick up some wins in order to move towards the top of the table. And it's doable. Newcastle, although they're sitting in 11th, they are sitting on 23 points. But Forest in 4th, only on 28 points. So it's only like a 5-point gap there. And yeah, Newcastle will be eyeing up a win here in Suffolk this weekend. But what do we think it's actually going to be?
Well, Ipswich, of course, haven't won at home yet, have they? So their only 2 wins have been away, which is a bit unusual, you'd think. But yeah, Newcastle are scoring a lot of goals recently, aren't they? But and Ipswich do like to concede pretty much every game, don't they? Has there been a game where they haven't? So we are going for, actually in this one, are both teams to score. Being Ipswich at home, we think they'll get a goal, but yeah, we of course think Newcastle will very likely score as well. Both teams to score. That's our tip for this one. 1.62 is the odds you can get for that. The odds. And for the result, well, sorry Moose, but we think Newcastle United will win, don't we? We think they'll win, and they're odds on favourites to win. Odds there of 1.73. I mean, you would expect that, but let's see how it goes. You never know with Ipswich. You know, they have surprised us a couple of times this season. And for a correct score prediction, 2-1 we've gone for Newcastle down at Portman Road. And well, let's see if those almost 30,000 supporters at Ipswich can roar them on for a Christmas win. Let's see, that'd be a nice present for you. 2-1 to A side, we get odds of 9 for that. Just looking at the other odds, you can get if you did like a Ipswich Town win, 4.75 and 3.9 for the draw. In our poll, go to our site. You'll find you can vote in a poll, which you can vote in only, not us, 12% of people think Ipswich Town, 65% Newcastle. Such a tight league, isn't it? So difficult to predict. Anyways, let's move on to the next game, which is West Ham, who are in 14th, having a topsy-turvy season, who are taking on an also topsy-turvy season side, Brighton, who are in 9th. And this one's on Saturday, the 21st of September, another 3 p.m. kickoff, UK time. And go to our site, you'll see all the local kickoff times, odds, and available viewing options. And win, loss, draw, anything goes with these two sides.
Yeah, two very unstable teams. Although West Ham has picked up a little bit of late, but it's not been that pretty still. Their latest win at home was in the last home game was against Wolves. We had a 3-1 win down there for West Ham, and it ended 2-1 to West Ham in the end. So we were in on the outcome and both teams to score. And then the following Monday, last Monday, just gone, West Ham traveled to Bournemouth and got a 1-1 draw, but they would probably be disappointed with that because West Ham actually scored in the 87th minute, but then conceded a late equaliser in injury time, and that seems to be Bournemouth's thing this season, scoring late goals. But yeah, it ended 1-1 in the end, and so West Ham only got away with a point there. But yeah, the visitors Brighton, look, they had a great start to the season. They had just one defeat from their first 9 matches, 4 wins, 4 draws, and that one defeat at Chelsea. However, they've kind of dropped off a little bit. They don't have the disruption of playing in the EFL Cup or Europe. But in the Premier League, now no wins from 4 matches. You would be quite disappointed with some of their most recent results because these are against teams in the bottom half. They didn't manage to pick up a win here against Southampton, Leicester, and Crystal Palace, who are all were sitting across the bottom 4 of the Premier League. So yeah, to only have picked up 2 points from their last 4 matches when you're playing teams that are in the bottom 4, that's got to be disappointing. And also Crystal Palace, kind of a bit of a rivalry going on there. So that would have been another disappointment. We did have both teams to score in that match. Brighton falling to that 3-1 defeat last weekend to Palace. But going into this game against West Ham, we think there might be a turnaround.
Yeah, another game where it's quite tough to predict because you've got 2 very unpredictable sides. But we think it'll be a Brighton win this time. And they do tend to just get over the line against West Ham, even though it is going to be, I nearly said at the London Stadium. And Brighton to win, 2.35 are the odds for that. That's what we're going for. If you like other maybe safer bets, we've gone for a both teams to score tip for this one as well. Odds there of 1.44 are available. Go to our site and you can see all the odds for different bookies. Correct score, we think it's going to be West Ham 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 3. I tell you what, if you did like that correct score prediction, you can get odds of that correct score, exact score of 19. So massive. So maybe a little nibble on that as part of an ACCA maybe would be interesting. But that's what we think is going to happen. Now, just looking at those other odds quickly, 3.7 is what you can get for a draw, and for a West Ham win, 2.88. So yeah, it's fairly evenly split between bookies as well, about who's going to win. In our poll, which you can vote on, 30% of you think West Ham, 57% think Brighton. So the rest are draw. People are thinking that it's going to be very close. So maybe the safety bet is the one you want to look at. Next up, our last featured match is Brentford in 11th, who are taking on high-flying Nottingham Forest in 4th, but back to the glory days, 21st of December, 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff. Go to our site, of course, to find your local kickoff time, betting odds, and available broadcast streaming options in your area. Now, Brentford, they've kind of slowed down a bit, and a couple of losses in the last few games, and Forest, though, back on track.
Yeah, Brentford out of the EFL Cup midweek. We covered that a bit earlier at Newcastle. Potentially a tournament where Brentford could have done something, but ended up losing 3-1 in the end. And we did predict them to get knocked out because we said Newcastle were going to win that game. 2-1, ended up winning 3-1. And talking about 3-1s, last weekend in the Premier League, we said Brentford would lose 3-1 at Chelsea. They ended up losing 2-1. So another game where we had the outcome and the both teams to score correct, prediction correct. Sorry. But yeah, last 4 games has ended in 3 defeats for Brentford. But those 3 defeats were all away from home. And of course, Brentford is playing at home in this game against Forest, and at home, really, Brentford has been the entertainers in the Premier League this season. Last time out, 4-2 win against Newcastle, and prior to that, 4-1 against Leicester, 3-2 against Bournemouth, 4-3 against Ipswich, and 5-3 against Wolverhampton. So it's goals galore when Brentford is playing at home. They've scored an average of 4 goals across the last 5 home games. That's quite impressive in the Premier League to have a record like that. But they are playing a Forest side who has done really well this season. I mean, this is a Forest team that has just about avoided relegation the past 2 seasons and are now sitting 4th in the Premier League. They have 6 wins from their last 9 games. Away from home, it has to be said, they've been up against it. They've had some really tricky fixtures, and you can say that they've lost 2 out of their last 3, but those 2 were at Man City and at Arsenal, because apart from that, when Forest have been playing away, they picked up a win in the latest away game against Man United. We had both teams to score in that game. It ended 3-2 Forest. They also beaten Liverpool away this season, and they picked up points at Brighton and Chelsea. So when Forest is playing away, they can still pick up some points on the road. Their most recent game in the Premier League, that was a 2-1 win against Aston Villa. So another strong result for Forest going into this game against Brentford.
Yeah, and like you said, Brentford really good at home. They rely a lot on Buemo and Wissa, and they've been the key to their success, I think, this year, really, in the forward line, even though they've had some good defensive performances as well. But to stay on the safe side for this one is a very difficult one to predict. We think a 1.57 odds, both teams to score prediction is the way forward. But we do think, being at home and Brentford being so good there, that they will get over the line. So a Brentford win, you can get odds of 2.3, which is what we also predict. And we've gone for a scoreline of 2-1 to the home side. So yeah, it should be close, but that would seem to be a reasonable prediction. We think 2-1, and odds for that 2-1 prediction you get at the moment of 10. Check our website, you can see the latest odds as they change. And our poll, 55% of you agree Brentford, 24% think Nottingham Forest. Maybe that's a bit harsh on Forest, but because they've had such a great season, and they are 4th, they're way above. So we'll see if they can maintain that position, but we think it might be Brentford if you grab the points. Odds for a draw 3.6 and a Forest win 2.9, so not much in the odds betting there either. Moving on, we've got Crystal Palace, who are 15th, taking on Arsenal, who are 3rd. This is on Saturday, 21st of December, 5:30 p.m. UK time, kickoff on Sky Sports, this one. And you can check our website and you can find your local betting time, betting odds, kickoff time, broadcast streaming channels tailored to your own location. And for this one, we have gone for, maybe predictably, an Arsenal away win. We think it's going to be both teams to score, though, and we've gone for a score of Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 2.
Yes, moving on till Sunday, 22nd of December, 2 p.m. UK time. We've got Man United in 13th at home to Bournemouth in 6th. And for this game, we're going to go with a Man United win on the outcome. Both teams to score, correct score, 2-1 Man United.
Next up, we've got Leicester City in 17th, taking on Wolves, who are in 19th. This is on Sunday as well, 22nd of December, 2 p.m. UK time, kickoff. Watch it on... look on our site and you'll find out where to watch it. And for this one, we have gone for a ball draw. We think it's going to be 0-0. And under 2.5 goals is our tip.
Yes, and Sunday, 22nd of December, 2 p.m., we've got Everton in 16th taking on Chelsea in 2nd. This is actually a game when you're outside of the UK, you can watch it live and free on Bet365 using the bonus code FP365. Now, Chelsea are flying, and we're also going to go for a Chelsea win in this game. Both teams to score, Chelsea to win, and a correct score prediction of 2-1 Chelsea.
Next up, it's Fulham in 8th, who take on Southampton, who are bottom of the table. This one kicks off on Sunday the 22nd, 2 p.m. kickoff as well. Go to our site, you'll find out where to watch it. This one's on Sky Sports, I believe. And you can see that it's going to be a great game because Fulham have been doing really well. Southampton need something. They've got new management in place, hopefully, to help them through. But we'll see. They're away to Fulham, who are tough. And we think it's going to be both teams to score. So we think there'll be some signs of life coming from Southampton. But we've gone for the Fulham win, 2-1.
Yes. And finally, the last match of this match week is taking place Sunday, 22nd of December at 4:30 UK time. And this Tottenham at home to Liverpool in first. Sorry, that's Tottenham in 10th against Liverpool, who are sitting top of the Premier League. And this game you can watch if you're in the UK live on Sky Sports. Now for this game, we're going with a both teams to score prediction and a Liverpool away win, so the outcome of Liverpool, and then we have a correct score prediction for this one of 3-1 Liverpool.
Now, if you're going to watch any of the matches, or the one match on the Bet365, geolocation and live streaming rules apply. 18 plus, gamble aware, and make use of that bonus code FP365 if you haven't already got an account.
Yeah, and in the description section of this podcast, you'll see links to the games we've just covered, or just go directly to footballpredictions.net. That's where you can browse the online places to see the games from your location via streaming and TV channels, our predictions for different betting markets, team news, plus the latest offers and odds.
We record these podcasts for additional competitions as well as the Premier League, and you can hear them all at podcast.footballpredictions.net, or where you usually access your favourite podcasts from. Well, that's it. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Thanks for listening. And until next time, it is.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
A football prediction.